fly alone. I have no friends. Friends are problems. Friends are challenges. If you aren't yourself, and that means something else now. But I mean, if you're not into yourself enough that you can't spend the weekend by yourself, there's something fucking wrong with you. Vis-a-vis self-esteem, being a high performance person, and accomplishing high performance acts. Something wrong with you.
Bruh.
Introverts really need to have friends.
IntrovertMaxxing. Like and subscribe.
Many introverts, such as myself, are usually proud of not needing to rely on friends. Let's keep it real. Many introverts gloat about that ideal. You know, living alone, in complete solitude, you have complete freedom, all the time in the world to yourself, you know, traveling alone, no one is bothering you, you don't have to have any sort of diplomacy with other people, right? On the surface, that does feel or sound empowering. It does sound like a super strength, right? It does sound impressive that you don't need people, you don't need affection or love. Now, I won't say that I'm a person that thinks that, oh, everyone needs to have someone in their life. I don't believe that's true. You know, I don't believe in extremes. I believe most people, most things in this world operate on a middle ground, right? Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's false. You know, but like I said, especially in my younger days, I was very proud of the idea of being self-sustaining, you know. But I think the biggest event that kind of made me think about that ideal was when the pandemic happened. You know, and I think that a lot of us need to speak out about how we felt during and after the pandemic, because it kind of feels like people have just forgotten about it, when it was actually a very pivotal moment, I think, in human history, you know. But during the pandemic, I was living the picturesque lifestyle of an introvert, or maybe even a bachelor, you know, living alone, living far away from people, you know, being the typical gym bro. I was always on my gym routine. You know, some of you remember those videos where I'm literally walking in a park like this most mornings, and it was just so enriching, right? But when the pandemic came, it made me question a few things. You know, and I really think that the pandemic allowed many of us to have some sort of introspection and reflection on life. And what I mean by that is that when things got locked down, such as the gym, the clubs, all these activities, all these leisure centers, I think that uncovered a sort of a coping mechanism that people relied on, whereas people can say with assurance that, oh yes, life is okay when you're alone, or life is the best living situation is when you're alone. I think these activities cloud a lot of people's judgment when it comes to actually being 110% sure about that. So when the gyms closed, which was probably my biggest quote-unquote cope, you know, going to the gym every day made me feel like I've done something great. When actually in hindsight, when I think about it, no, I wasn't. It didn't do much, you know, going to the gym like a fanatic. A lot of people who were in relationships or seeing people had to come to a decision, in the sense that, you know, we're all locked down. Are you going to choose to be locked down with your lady friend or your guy friend over there, or are you going to isolate yourself properly, fully? You know, for many people that would end that relationship, or for many people that showcase to themselves that that wasn't a serious thing. So a lot of these whimsical relationships or situationships were also coping mechanism. When these things weren't available to us, the gym, the clubs, arrangements, you know, probably hookups with some of you, it left a lot of people thinking about the meaning of life for them and the value of friendships, you know. although if you ask a lot of introverts about the pandemic today, a lot of them will say that, oh yeah, it was a blessing, they loved it, the isolation and the solitude that they had. You know, for example, a good excuse for me, for example, to not go and see family, you know, elder family, was that, hey, I don't want to contaminate you. I could potentially, you know, have the lurgies, social distancing, your immune system is jeopardized, so hey, I'm not going to come to the, you know, to see you. It was a perfect excuse. But another effect of the pandemic is that it's as if we've lost a year or two of our lives, right? It's like those years of the pandemic where things or our life was on hold, we are basically minus 2 years worth of the experience that we could have had, like traveling and developments in the gym and personal best and all that type of thing. The pandemic really opened up my introvert mentality, my mindset. It made me bring into question, is this the life that I want? You know, do I want to live this life like a monk, complete solitude? Relationships are, you know, relationships that I'm keeping aren't that deep. You know, I don't need to commit, no need for commitment. You know, no real friendships, no real deeper friendships with family and stuff like that. It made me question all these things. And I think, but like I said in the beginning, I'm not everyone needs people. No, I appreciate that everyone's different, but I think that for me, it's made me more critical of this whole introverts don't need no friends, or people don't need people. It's made me very critical of that. And I always cite, when I talk about this, the well-studied health implications of loneliness. You know, and I find again a lot of introverts especially, who are proud of their ability to remain in solitude, always shun these facts, you know, and it's telling of a mindset that doesn't want to be questioned. You just want to, you know, like a haughty person, you just believe your strategy is the best. And I think that ignorance is just not becoming, it's not good for anyone, right? I believe people need to face truths, even if it goes against their thought process. This is the only way to grow and to learn and to improve. The well-known health implications of loneliness from many sources: depression, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease, or the onset of Alzheimer's disease, right? Losing your mental faculties, your speech becomes impaired, the way you think becomes impaired, substance abuse, which I think is a silent killer, chronic stress, unaliving thoughts, antisocial behaviors, I think is a very big one, especially in this social media age with all these parasocial relationships. During the pandemic, I'm pretty sure a lot of live streams took off. You know, this is when many content creators blew up in 2020 because of the live stream feature, right? And because everyone was locked in. You know, the phenomenon of when a wife or a husband dies and their spouse dies shortly after. I believe there is something to human connection that has that power. There is something about socializing and connecting with people on a deeper level that empowers people, and that we should not scoff at. We should not think it's weak to want to do these things. And again, there's a lot of introverts that will clown men, or forget introverts, there's a lot of guys in the so-called manosphere that will clown guys for admitting that they might value relationships. Memory problems, again, linked to Alzheimer's disease. Poor decision making, trouble sleeping, especially when you use the internet for your source of socializing. You know, you're bound to stay up late. And of course, that's going to bridge into other vices and other negative lifestyle, you know, namely the hub.
Bruh.